Maker, it's Claire from Eclair Makery, and today I am here to share with you all about my latest crochet pattern, the Adventure Tee. I have been wanting to make some intro videos for some of my paid patterns for quite a while now, and this is going to be the first one where I am kind of testing this out to see how you guys like this. In this video I'm going to share with you my inspiration for this design, the yarn, kind of how I designed it, as well as share tester photos, sizing details, everything you're going to need to know about this pattern is all going to be in this video, and then you will totally feel confident just jumping right into making this pattern. So go ahead and hit that like button and the subscribe button below so you don't miss out on any of my pattern videos, and we'll go ahead and start sharing all about the Adventure Tee. So the Adventure Tee, it started as an idea about, I think it was over a year ago, last summer during the pandemic. I was stuck at home, I was in the middle of writing my book, and all I could think about was traveling, just kind of getting away, seeing the world. I wanted to go to Disneyland, Hawaii, pretty much any place I was willing to go there. I just wanted to get out of the house. I mean, I think all of us can really relate to kind of that wanderlust that we got, just wishing we could escape from our lives and go somewhere else. So I started imagining a design to kind of capture all of those feelings that I was having, and I kept going back to vintage maps. I am a huge fan of vintage stuff. You might have guessed that based off of most of the crochet designs that I create. I love like vintage motifs, vintage colors, just anything that kind of captures that old world style. And so I had this idea of a design that had a world map and a compass rose on it. So I knew it would be difficult. Originally it was going to be a circular yoke design, and I'm really glad I did not do that. That's kind of what kept me away from this design for quite a while. I had this idea, and then Sorella Yarn released a really gorgeous summer collection last year that was all about travel and road trips, and I'll share a little bit more about that yarn in a minute. But I saw that yarn and I was like, this is perfect for this idea. So I bought a ton of it, enough to make this pattern, and I didn't do it. Hee I got busy writing my book, then I got pregnant and was in the middle of editing my book and all that stuff, and the design just didn't happen. And then I was crazy, and it was about 2 months ago. I think I was like 3 weeks away from giving birth to my son, and I decided to start this pattern. I know, crazy, right? I, of course, decided to start a complicated crochet project, a garment, something I hadn't designed in almost 7 or 8 months, and just jump right in and go with something super complicated, right? That sounds a lot like basically what I do all the time. So I decided, okay, let's try and figure out a way. How are we going to make this pattern work that is simple for people to make, is a lot less intimidating with the color work, and is simple for me to be able to grade, because I was in the middle of pregnancy brain and I had no brain power at all. And so I thought, okay, what would work? And I figured out panels. Panels is the perfect way to do complicated color work with minimal math, that most sizes would be able to use the same chart so that it would just be easier for everyone. So I started crocheting, I started experimenting with this idea, and it worked. Oh my goodness, it worked. And I was so excited, because that's one of the craziest things about designing, is you have this idea, you start making it, and you don't know if it's gonna actually work or not. And this design actually worked. Super excited about that. And everyone loved it. I was totally shocked. Like, how come everyone loved this design so much? It might be the compass rose, might be the fact that there's a world map in crochet, but either way, I was really excited to get to create this pattern, and now you can make it too. Yay! This pattern is available for you now in my shops. Now let's talk about the color work for this pattern. So when it came to designing this, while I was trying to figure out how to make it work with like the panels and stuff, I also was trying to figure out how could I make a chart that would work for a lot of sizes. I didn't want to have to deal with all the math that circular yokes require for color work. And I mean, look at this. This would be really, really complicated to figure out how to do with a circular yoke design where you have to figure out increases and different stuff like that. That's a big fat no. So what I did is I experimented a lot with my chart in order to kind of create, you'll see there's this it looks like a circular yoke, but this is worked flat. Yes, that's right. If you can crochet a square, you can make this pattern. This is a circular, I guess I would say a faux circular yoke. So the color work looks like it's a circle, but it's all worked flat, and it still captures that look of a compass. That was something really important to me with this design, is that in the neckline, I wanted there to be the compass. And then with the world map, how I figured that out, you might be thinking, how did she draw that herself? Pro secret. I did not hand draw that. I did not draw that in my charts. I found a photo on Google. I Googled silhouettes of world maps, and I put that into my pattern software. I use Stitch Fiddle for all of my color work charts, and I had it generate a pattern of the world map, kind of tweaked it a little bit, so I guess I did do some work on that portion, and then I based the rest of the pattern off of that. So I started out with this rectangle of the chart, and then I grew it into adding the neckline and the wave portion on the bottom to get the whole colorwork masterpiece of this pattern. So it was a lot of experimenting to get this just right, but I'm really happy with how it turned out, because this was exactly the look that I was going for with the vintage world map feel, just capturing that feel of adventure that I was really feeling in the time when I came up with this idea. So let's talk all about the yarn for this pattern though, because that is really one of the key features of this design that really helped bring it to life. So I used Sorella Yarns DK weight. I used it from the Road Trip collection, a little bit from the Rowana collection, and it really captured the vintage feel that I was going for. I loved the blues, the golds, the pinks, the just tinges of orange, all really just bringing this vintage map feel that I wanted to get. Now, unfortunately, this yarn is not available for you to get these exact colors. I know, it's really sad, but they have a ton of other options that they release every month. So if you have another color scheme that you want to do your sweater in, you can check out their website, and be sure to follow them on Instagram, because they have regular shop updates, I think every other month, or sometimes it's once a month. And you can get some really pretty yarn to make this pattern as well. But if you don't have access to that yarn, you can use any DK weight yarn. So if you have some hand-dyed yarn that you've been saving for a really awesome project, you can use a lot of different hand-dyed yarns. I used mainly used Sorella yarn, but I also used a couple extra hand-dyed yarns I had in my stash, just to get kind of like these small little bits of color in there from the compass, because you didn't really need that much for it. But this way you can kind of have just really whatever you want. And you can also use just regular yarn. You don't have to use hand-dyed yarn for it. I had some testers, they used We Crochet's cotton yarn. I believe 2 of my testers used that. Then I had some that used Kobu from Lion brand. That one's a really great DK weight. Then some used, I believe it was yarn from Michaels. Some used yarn from Hobie yarn. Then we had Cascade yarns. Basically any DK weight yarn that you want, you can create a gorgeous top with it. It's really up to you, and the key feature of this pattern is that you get to choose all the colors that you want. So you can experiment. I had testers do monochrome colors, they did brights, pastels, neutrals, really whatever you want to do. You can make it look try to get it a lot like mine. You won't be able to get it exactly like it because this yarn isn't available anymore, but you can try. There are a lot of really pretty yarns out there, and if you want some of my yarn recommendations, I have a blog post all about this pattern, and the link is in the description box below, and you can check out some of my yarn recommendations. I've got links for all the yarns that I recommend in that blog post and in the description box below. That way, if you can't use hand-dyed yarn and you want something more affordable, you have access to that. So we've talked about the yarn. And maybe you have an idea now of what yarn you would like to use for this pattern. So let's talk about more details about the pattern itself. So one thing that I really try to do with all of my garment patterns is to make them size inclusive. That is something that is very important to me because I know that colorwork sweaters are really hard for people to be able to access. There just aren't really that many out there for a wide range of sizes. Usually they go from like extra small to maybe 3X. So I really wanted to make sure in this pattern that I had my sizes go from extra small to 5XL, and even those numbers are really like using that standard sizing isn't necessarily what this pattern's based off of. All of the sizes are based off of bust measurements. So you look at the sizing range of this pattern and you pick and choose which bust measurement gets closest to you, and if that doesn't work for you, I've included customization options in the pattern. So you can adjust your length, you can adjust the width of your pattern to make your panels fit your bust size more. You can also change your sleeve combinations. The sleeve combinations, that is something I wanted to focus on a lot because my testers did such a great job with that. It was super fun to see them kind of take the reins and just go with it. They some were like, okay, I don't want to do the flutter sleeves, which I was like, that's okay. This is, you are making this project and I want you to be happy with what you're making. So they suggested I want to just do just a little cuff of ribbing right off of the armholes so that I don't have to do have ruffle sleeves or do a long sleeve. And it was super cute. Others were like, okay, I want more of a short sleeve that has some ribbing on it, and that was amazing. And then others decided that they wanted to do long sleeves, which is so cool. So this can be an all year round sweater. It doesn't have to just be a top. And the pattern has all of those customization options are within the pattern. So you can have your width change, your length of the sweater change, and you can change your sleeves. So you will be able to access all of that in the pattern, which I'm excited about. I like changing patterns a lot. I'm one of those crazy people that doesn't really like to follow the rules when it comes to patterns. That's one reason why I design. I don't really make other people's patterns because I just see something that I want to change. I do the same thing with cooking. I don't really follow recipes. I kind of use them more as guidelines. So you can use this pattern as a guideline. You can use the color work and have it like that. And speaking of my testers, let's share some of their amazing versions because I think when you're making a pattern, you don't really want to commit to something unless you see how it looks on different body types, because like it's the same with when you have something that you're buying in a store. You want to make sure that it fits you or that it looks like it could fit you before you commit to it and you buy the yarn for it. So I want to share some of my tester versions. I had testers ranging, I think, from extra small to 4XL. I couldn't find a 5XL, but the 4XL one really kind of captures that plus size look, as well as my 3XL testers. And I was so excited that the math worked on this pattern. That is one of the things that I always get scared of every time I design a garment. And I think I finally figured out the right formula to create a really flattering and form-fitting sweater that looks amazing on all body types. And it maintains the integrity of the color work as well, so that you can have that same look that the other testers and other sizes get while having it fit you. And you can look amazing in it as well. So my testers also were really excited about making, I had this idea for a video where I wanted to do an Instagram reel where I showed how we were all over the world, because my testers were all over the world. I had some in the UK, we had some all over the US, there was one in India / Australia, and so they totally hopped on board this idea of let's show our sweaters, let's show where we're from. And that was super fun to get to see that, because I love how crochet just brings us all together. No matter where you're from, crochet can bring you together. And so we had fun going with this video idea, and it was super great. And be sure to check out all of the tester photos that I have of the ones that they sent me and that they made, so you can kind of get an idea of color combinations that you want. You can get an idea of how it looks on different body types, and most of those photos can be found in the blog post that I mentioned before. So go ahead and click that link in the description box to check those out. And of course, I've been sharing a lot of their photos in this video as well, because I wanted to make sure that you could check some of those out in here. So that is a lot of the details of this pattern. I really hope that you're excited to make this like I was really excited to make this. Be sure to check it out in all of my shops. I have it available on Etsy and Ravelry, and then of course that blog post that has yarn recommendations, just a little bit more about how this pattern was designed, how it fits different. You can get like the specific sizing measurements in that blog post as well. It's also available in the descriptions of the patterns in my shops. But if you want to check that out, all those things are available in the description box below. I really hope that you love this pattern and that you will make it. And if you do make it, be sure to tag me on social media at eclairmakery and use #AdventureTea, #eclairmakery, so I can share all of your beautiful projects, because I know that you are going to make something totally amazing and it's going to be great. And I hope that you liked kind of this pattern intro video, because I'm really hoping to do more. I've got a lot more paid patterns that I still want you to be able to learn about, and that I want to share with you guys. So good luck on making your adventure tees, and I will catch you next time. Have a wonderful rest of your day and happy crocheting. Bye!